This is about the Charger draft. This is from Daniel Carlin. He says Bijan, Kincaid, or Meyer.
It's going to be one of those three. But the rumblings are that Bijan's stock is going up. He might be the only running back that is taken in the first round of this draft. He may not be there at 21, but again, if strange things happen in front of the Chargers, that means some other guys are going to fall back to them at 21. I'd be in favor of taking either one of the tight ends. I've seen Kincaid a lot, and that's a guy who really does things going down the seam. Can you say George Kittle, and maybe even more athletic than George Kittle? So I think it's probably going to be one of the tight ends. If something strange happens and both tight ends are gone and the running back is gone, then they should draft the Pitt defensive tackle, who I think they desperately need to. On we go.
On we go. Here's a good one here from Angel Barragon. And he says, Hacksaw versus Stephen A. in a debate. I'll watch it. My money's on Hacksaw.
I can yell as loud as he can. I don't know Stephen A. that well. He's a former journalist. I really enjoyed him when he covered sports in Philadelphia. His career has just really taken off. The only issue is that he just now tends to sit there and yell and give me some depth of knowledge rather than yelling at me on my TV. You're entitled to your opinion, but all he does is yell. And a lot of the stuff that he throws out there now it's got racial tinge to it. And I just don't think we live with that in every story that has to be discussed. So he's doing well, whether this longevity stays. He seems to be the hot guy. He's everywhere except in my living room. He's on every platform ESPN has. So I'll be glad to argue with him anytime about topics on the table.
That'd be fun to have him as a guest on the podcast. But I'll tell you what, when Saturday Night Live did a skit, impersonating him, I talk about LeBron James, and he was going on about it. It was fantastic. But to me, he's fun to listen to. I remember with my kids, just have him in the car and we'd listen to Stephen A. And it just made us laugh because he was entertaining. But he's got a shtick and he knows how to use it.
On we go. Next question.
Okay, so let's move on down the list here. And this is from Force Ghost Fabio. He says, Soto, he's going to get the batting coach fired. I mean, do the Padres even have a batting coach? I don't even know.
Well, they change him yearly. It's an annual right of failure. Somebody, I want you to watch the Padre game against the Giants on the weekend. Agree or disagree with me after you watch, then you get back to us on Fans Forum. To me, he moves around in the batter's box too much. He is never set. He can't read the pitch because he's changing the levels of his eyes, looking at the pitch coming out of the ball coming out of the pitcher's hands. And to me, because he's moving so much, he does not get clean swings. It's like he's tomahawking everything. Maybe I should be the batting coach rather than the talk show host, because if I can sight and see this, and I know baseball, if I can see this mechanical flaw, why can't any of the smart people in the dugout or the coaches or the people upstairs, the analytics dudes, why can't they figure this out? But you watch the games. You tell me if I'm right or wrong when we do our bonus podcast come Monday.
Okay, I look forward to that. But yeah, you're right. What are they doing with this guy? Are they maybe kind of hands off because he's a superstar, a prima donna? They don't want to, try to tell him what to do. I mean, come on. Okay, let's move on. We got some questions here that are coming in from the YouTube channel. Some good comments. So let's get these guys involved too. And we'll go here and on down the list. And this is from Blunderbus 999. Talk about Aztecs slashing the ticket prices. And he says, you are spot on with this take. The overpriced tickets and midday scheduling was stupid.
Oh, I agree. 999. I didn't agree with the price hike in everything across the board. I just got the sense they were gouging the fans. $40 to park on a gravel lot? You're kidding me.
Wow, that's
for that program.
Mm-hmm.
Now they might charge $40 in Tuscaloosa. They should not charge that at San Diego State. Price tickets were way too high, and they got a great burst, and people were excited about Snapdragon, and they sold a record number of season tickets. The starting time of the Arizona game was dictated by TV. That's not on San Diego State's situation, but the fans went away, and they never came back. The fact that they struggled to get 17,000 in there for the last group of home games. That's a really bad sign that fans are turned off by what happened. And I will tell you this, their schedule this year, what a bonanza. I mean, they're going to get UCLA in here, and they're going to get their bad rivals in here, Fresno and Boise and Nevada. I mean, what a great home schedule. But are the fans going to come out? Because they're sure peeved about the ticket prices, and they're sure peeved at Brady Hoke's offense. But let's give them a little bit of space. Let's see what they look like in the first game against my alma mater, Ohio U.
Yeah, that's right.
And let's see if they can throw the ball down the field. And let's see if they can protect Jalen Maiden. And let's see what else they do in the transfer portal, because they got some scholarships to use. And I think there's going to be probably 3 more additions here in the next couple of weeks. But they mishandled the entire launch of Snapdragon, and now they've turned the town off. And Brady's got to find the key to plug it back in, to turn the light switch on to get fans to come back, because they've kind of lost the community a little bit, sadly.
I mean, they have an opportunity to make this a fan experience like Petco Park, especially on Saturday nights, under the lights and the warm fall evenings. I mean, it could be special. Hopefully they get their ducks in a row.
Got to win.
Year. You got to win.
Got to win. That's all there is to it. We march on.
We march on. This is about the NFL draft. This is from Sports Comics 559. Jake Haener, top 5 QB in the 2023 NFL draft.
Well, 599. Haener's going to go in the draft. It's not going to be first round. I'm not even sure it's going to be second round. But I'll tell you, the Brock Purdy arrival last year in San Francisco has changed everything as the way that teams are looking for quarterbacks. We had the report this past Monday on our bonus podcast that as many as 16 quarterbacks could get drafted. Now, the bulk of them will be at the back of the first round, but everybody is now looking for a gem that maybe we can develop. And one NFL scout said this past week, Jake Haener has all the qualities and intangibles of Drew Brees. Mm-hmm. Gritty, stands in the pocket, very accurate, real smart dude. When Drew Brees came out of Purdue, he was 5'10", and he was an afterthought, and Miami said, no, we're not drafting him, and the Chargers wound up taking him later, and he evolved, and then he got hurt, and then he went to New Orleans, where he happened to fall in with a mad scientist and a coach in Sean Payton, and 50,000 yards later in a Hall of Fame career, we now know who Drew Brees was. Now, every 5'10" guy comes down the turnpike is not like Drew Brees, but the fact that an NFL scout who has watched Haener at Fresno State for 3 years links a lot of the traits that Drew Brees has with the Fresno State quarterback means he's going to get a chance to be on somebody's roster and then learn. And so you teach him the first year, and he goes through the weight and nutrition program and the whole intellect of learning football at the NFL level. Maybe he gets a chance to play, and maybe there's a star in the making, because you can't rule out the history of Tom Brady 6th round, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, so it'll be fun to see where all these quarterbacks go. I mean, did you see Anthony Richardson? He said, I'm from another planet. I'm from another world. So all these guys have interesting stories. There's also been some comments on our YouTube channel, people that are really questioning CJ Stroud and whether he is really up to playing at the NFL level, both, mental and physical. So this draft's going to be great. What time does it start tonight?
5 o'clock. 5 o'clock on Thursday. Don't call me. Don't text me. I'll be watching the NFL draft for a while.
Okay.
We got a couple more here you want to run through?
We do here. And here's one from Oakland about the Oakland A's. This is from Arthur Korf. And he says, the 2002 total major league payroll was about $2 billion. Now it's over $4 billion. So it's doubled. But the A's payroll has gone down from 2002 to 2022.
Well, payrolls are all spun off the gross revenue, the amount of money that Major League Baseball's taking in on all their contracts, sponsorships, TV deals, etc. I mean, baseball at one point was a $3 billion industry, down the bottom of the ladder. Baseball is now an $11 billion industry. John, it has rocketed in about 5 years.
Wow.
Now, it's not equal to the National Football League, but it's doggone right there. Mm-hmm. So that's why the payrolls have just gone up. As the total gross revenue comes in the front door, a chunk of that package goes into the players' pool. Therefore, their salaries are going to go up. That's why average salary this year is 4.4. That includes a superstar. That includes a 25th man on the roster. So there's a lot more money there. The whole Oakland situation to me is an absolute disgrace. The fact that John Fisher was allowed to take all this revenue sharing and TV money, put it in his pocket, and not develop players.
Mm.
I mean, that's why they're sitting there at 5-20 right now. Then obviously they tried really hard with the city of Oakland, which I think is destitute, near bankrupt, to come up with a stadium. But Fisher wanted Oakland and Alameda County to pour a lot of money in as their share. Now, he was going to pay for a large chunk of the stadium himself, but there's infrastructure and there's land development. There's a lot of things that go into building a business entity. It's just not a stadium. It's a business development around everything there at the Seaport District. And Oakland does not have the money. And then Fisher just walked away and went to Vegas. But it's a real big baseball problem. And if you have John Fisher owning this team going to Vegas and they're going to build a new stadium, what's to say Fisher's not going to do the same doggone thing and pocket more money in Las Vegas in a new entity? So I just have a real problem with not just Rob Manfred, because this also goes to the union, not interceding and mandating that these guys have to spend more money. That's where we are in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also getting increasingly more difficult to build stadiums in California. And granted, you know, we have Petco and the Warriors built an arena, but it's tough. And now you got 3 major league or pro level teams that have exited Oakland, you know, with the Warriors, the Raiders, and now the A's. So maybe it's just tough to do business in Oakland.
Well, it is, because Oakland's got a lot of serious problems. It's got a population problem. It's got an economic problem. It's got a gun violence problem. Oakland's reputation, certain parts of Oakland, is really, really bad. But, you know, your city is what your city is. And if there's no industry in Oakland, then how are you going to raise tax money to be able to rebuild, put it into your infrastructure? It's a huge problem. But baseball should have never allowed Fisher to operate the franchise, quote, the Moneyball theory, the way this franchise was operating, when they gave him all this revenue sharing and he was getting a cut of the piece of the TV pie. Hey, listen, hope you've enjoyed our Thursday podcast. We invite you to be with us every Thursday. We do